Hey guys, I was smoking a doob the other day, and I was thinking about the guy upstairs, and I thought, if there's one example of our own ingratitude and how audacious we are as a species, as a culture, it's atheism. So I thought I'd just take a moment to prove to you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that God exists. Here's the key: the universe. We're sitting next to a thing that is infinite. That is a thing that is unfathomable. We can't wrap our minds around it. That's just a little gift sitting next to you. And for you to sit there and go, not impressed. It's like someone, they have this sort of seaside resort, and they live next to a place where instead of the ocean, it's all these unicorns who can read their thoughts and sing them back to them in a ghetto rap from 3 6 Mafia, and them going, it's just a bunch of singing unicorns. Not my cup of tea. Big whoop. Okay. I will prove this to you mathematically. Let's start very simply with a coin. All right? You're flipping a coin. You get heads. Actually, why not? We have the technology. I'll flip a coin. All right? I've got it here. It's set to tails. I got a head. I got a tail. 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 This is sort of I'm not flipping it well enough. I got a head. You see, it doesn't go head, tail, head, tail, head, tail, head, tail. There's going to be times I'm probably going to get 13 tails in a row. Now, if I go all night long doing that, there's going to be some kooky ones in there, isn't there? There's going to be one where I get heads 21 times. Now, if we were to keep doing that for infinity, we would get an infinite number of possibilities. That's how people define infinity. You see, our brains can't handle infinity, so we come up with these analogies to sort of wrap our minds around it. So say we switch those to binary numbers, right? 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. Heads, heads, tails, tails, tails. Eventually, you're going to map out every variation. And that is why people talk about monkeys on a typewriter. They say if you had monkeys sitting at a typewriter for infinity, they would type out the complete works of Shakespeare. Now, I know that sounds hard to believe, and that's because we're talking about infinity. It doesn't hit the brain. It doesn't fit in the brain. But if you break down Shakespeare, if you break down each one of those letters into a number, you end up with this huge binary mass of ones and zeros. And you know that the monkeys are going to keep flipping coins, and eventually, not over 1 billion years, not over 1 trillion years, not over 1 trillion, billion, zillion, billion, gazillion years, you know eventually that the coin tosses will match that crazy pattern of Shakespeare's works. How pissed would you be when you get them and the monkeys did everything, but there's a typo on the last page? You're like, we have another trillion, trillion, zillion, billion, trillion, trillion, billion, zillion, zillion years to wait for that to happen again. You fucking monkeys. And one of them is like this, and one of them's like that, the other's like that. All right. The universe is infinite. It's the monkeys. I should use this hand. The universe is infinite. It's the monkeys on the typewriter. So there's an infinite number of possibilities. And my atheist father is to blame for getting this in my head because he said, look, I mean, we know there's going to be life in outer space, because there's an infinite number of possibilities. So there's an infinite chance that there'll be life, which means there'll be life. So it's got to be out there as statistically inevitable. All right. That means that there's going to be living beings somewhere in outer space, right? We know that to be true. You've been with me so far. All of this is irrefutable. Okay. But once we start allowing that, we say, wait a minute, there'll be a planet just like Earth there. I mean, if you find one where it's just sort of these slugs just going, maybe eating just like a weird porridge sludge with a weird tongue, you go, I don't want to hang out with those, but we're close. Go another trillion years, maybe one will have like a hat on and a little hand. Anyway, you keep going trillions and trillions and trillions of light years away, and eventually you find basically kind of a human. Well, this is the problem with infinity. We know that means there's an earth. We know it means there's an earth just like this. And then you get into that whole concept of, wait a minute, if there's an earth like this, why would it be an earth in 2016? Why wouldn't it be 1920's earth? Hello, welcome to this earth. And then you go, well, there's an infinite number of possibilities. Now there's a planet of just Gavs. Now there's a planet of just yous. You watching this is a mom, a dad, a someone pushing a stroller, an immigrant grocer. They're all your fucking face. That is statistically inevitable. Just like Shakespeare with the monkeys, it happened. But you know it didn't happen. You know there's no planet of yous. You just know. And that is God leaving a little calling card, a little ace of spades in the math going, weird, right? I just proved that 2 and 2 isn't 5. Now, liberals love doing this when it suits them, when they say math is racist, when it doesn't suit them. But the truth of the matter is, there is a mathematical inevitability that there is a planet of Charlie Chaplin's somewhere, all speaking in rap lyrics. Has to be. But it also isn't. That is proof that God exists. God is this amorphous force that we can only barely kind of understand. And that little infinity experiment is proof. So here's how you find God. Now, I know Catholicism gets a bad rap, and they talk about Buddhists, and your pets don't go. All that are silly little details that our petty brains have come up with to try to understand the truth. I am a Catholic, but I'm not saying that Tibetans are going to hell and they're going to be in a lake of fire forever. I refuse to accept that. I think we're all just trying to glob onto this truth that we all sense in our brains that we can find in mathematics. And the more you give in to that, the freer you are and the more you prosper. That's what the free market is. It's saying, I'm going to adhere to this biology. And when I talk to atheists, I avoid talking about this. I just say Darwin. They like the word Darwin, or nature, or biology. Just say that instead of God, right? You just adhere to this nature. And the less you play God and the less you try to intervene in fate, the more you prosper. Look at the Western world. We let the free market go. And isn't it funny that Adam Smith talked about the invisible hand of capitalism? The invisible hand. This came up again recently in a movie called I Am Pencil, where they talked about the evolution of the pencil and how without any government influence, we get people getting the wood, getting the carbon, getting it all together and creating a pencil. And in the video, we actually see a magical hand form. In the West, where we let the free market prosper, we see lifespan going up. We see in the environment going up. We like to play doom and gloom, but by every single metric, things have been consistently getting better. That's because we've been adhering to our own inevitable nature, our own freedom. We've been trusting ourselves more and more and more. We've been letting our biology prosper. We've been letting advents in medicine happen. This is all part of the plan. It's sort of like in Prometheus, where that dude drinks that thing and he breaks down. We started out with an incredible, magical algorithm that is like a microchip that just keeps blossoming and getting better and better and better. And every time you come up with a flaw with this, you realize, no, it's actually perfect. Why do kids get cancer? If we were all immortal, it would be boring. If Superman goes to the Grand Canyon, just goes, swims around, swims out. We have to work to get it. We don't want to be immortal. We don't want to be Superman. Yes, there has to be consequences. There has to be danger. There has to be sickness. There has to be cancer. Because to just jump off a building and not suffer consequences, that's no kind of life. Now, the atheists go, well, hold on a second. Your stupid infinity thing contradicts itself when you look at us. We had an infinite amount of time to be here. We had monkeys on a typewriter. It was an infinite amount of pre-time to get to the Big Bang that led to Earth, that led to us. So you had a lot of time and you created the complete works of Shakespeare. But you know that's not true. You know that this is a planet of Charlie Chaplin's talking in rap. So though it seems to make mathematical sense that we got here, you know It doesn't. You know that this planet right here is equally as absurd as any of the other crazy planets I was talking about earlier. It's equally as absurd as a planet of views. We are on a planet of views right now. The math adds up, but it don't add up. That's proof there's a God. You dig? Did you like that? Okay, check it out. I got a whole comedy show called How's It Going, Eh? You just have to click right here to subscribe.